Hey Sophia. So, I wondered if we could start the session with filling in the form that we filled in another week. So just tell us how you've been feeling a bit over this last week. Can I give you that? Okay, brilliant. So do you remember what we do next?
Yeah.
Cool, so we're just going to measure them and then we're going to pop them in this graph. So if we're looking at individually, this is kind of how you've been feeling, huh? About yourself. So that's a 3. So that's gone down a little bit since last week by the look of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, maybe we can talk about that in a bit. I'll do the rest of these. So with your family and close relationships, that's 2. So that's kind of low as well this week, huh? Let's just come down a bit. But socially, it's got a bit better. That's 2. And overall, that's 1.5. So if we add them up quickly, I've got 5, 6, 7, 8.5. And then we'll plot that on this graph. So if we look at how that was in your first week, and it just kind of came down a little bit when we were talking last week, and looking at this now, looks like this has been a really difficult week for you.
Yeah.
Yeah? Maybe you could tell us a bit about what's been happening this week. How are you feeling?
Well, since my family have moved in with my nan and granddad, we found out more about how they're kind of coping with their illnesses, and it's not kind of looking good.
Right, so there's been a bit more information coming up about your grandparents' illnesses.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good, huh?
No.
No, you're looking down, as you say, that you look quite sad.
Because when we moved, I didn't really want to move because I knew that I'd miss all my old friends that I made, but then I felt really guilty for not wanting to move, and I can't really talk to my parents about it because they've kind of got enough to deal with.
Yeah, that sounds that's really difficult. Like you're moving in with your grandma and granddad and you should be happy about that, but actually you're really sort of sad that you're not with your old friends.
Yeah.
I heard you say, like, I don't really want to talk to mum and dad about this because, you know, they've got enough on their plate at the moment.
I just feel like if I told them how I felt, they wouldn't be able to kind of handle it with my nan and granddad and that.
Yeah, right, it might be sort of a bit too much for them.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like you're trying to sort of protect them a bit and look after them.
Yeah, sometimes that I feel that I'm just not I just don't want to be there because seeing them makes me sad of how they're kind of getting on.
Right, so being there and seeing them struggle with this really makes you sad.
Yeah, they're just not really coping very well.
Yeah, I can hear you're really worried about them and that they're not really coping with all this stuff they've got to deal with.
Yeah, I don't really have anyone else to talk to about it because I don't have any siblings to kind of talk to them about it, and my friends have I haven't really made any new friends yet.
Sounds like you're really feeling quite alone at the moment.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have some siblings or some friends that you could kind of talk to about this that would understand it, huh?
Yeah, because nobody is kind of going through what I'm feeling apart from my parents, and I don't want to pile up too much stress on them.
Yeah. Sounds like a really difficult situation. Like you're feeling lonely and like you'd like to talk to them, and then there's this other part of you that doesn't want to create any problems for them.
Yeah, and I feel by making friends that they're kind of going to see how I'm feeling. They're going to keep asking me what's going on, and I'm not going to be able to give them an answer.
Right, so it's like part of you would like to make friends, and then there's another part of you that's thinking, if I do, actually they're going to start asking questions, and I don't really want to talk about that. I won't know what to say, or...
Because my old friends, they're just too far away from me to see them, and it would take too long, and I don't really want to replace them.
Right. Well, you don't want to replace your old friends. And you're sort of saying that if I make new friends, it'll feel like I'm replacing my old ones.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're not quite ready to leave your old friends and to make new ones just yet.
No, and I just don't want to tell my parents that I'm not really making any friends, because they're just going to try and help me, but I don't want any help.
Right, they're gonna sort of want to get involved and help you.
Yeah.
You don't want any help at the moment.
I'd rather just not make them care about me, and I'd rather they just cared about my nan and granddad at the moment.
Right. You'd really like their attention to be on nan and granddad and to not have to worry about you at all. Sounds like you're really trying to not cause them any stress or worry at all.
Yeah, I just feel like by having all of this, that it's never going to end, and they're just going to keep trying. Like, if I keep pretending that I'm fine, then they'll just leave me alone.
Right. You've got to keep pretending.
Yeah.
And if they leave you alone, that's good, even though you're lonely.
Yeah, because I just don't want to talk about this with anyone else.
Right. So you don't want to talk to mum and dad. Don't want to talk to anyone.
No, I just feel like it would just kind of make everyone feel bad, and I don't want loads of attention to be on me.
So if people really knew how lonely you were feeling and how difficult this was, then you'd be taking their attention away from other places.
Yeah.
And then you're sort of saying, I'd feel responsible for making them feel bad.
Because, I mean, they've got enough to deal with, and they don't need to keep worrying about me and trying to deal with me on top of it all.
Yeah, so you're feeling really like a bit of a burden, really.
Yeah, I feel quite guilty for not telling them what's happening, but then at the same time I'm quite happy that they don't know, because they're just going to keep trying to make sure I'm alright. But if I keep pretending that I'm fine, then they'll feel fine as well.
That sort of feels like that's the only option at the moment, is to hold all this to yourself, and then they'll feel fine. Well, that feels like there's a lot of pressure on you to keep this all in and not let them know how you're really feeling.
Yeah, and I just don't really want to talk to my old friends and tell them what's going on, because I don't want them to kind of feel like sad about what's happening, and maybe when this has all finished I can maybe go and see them, but until then I don't know what's going to happen.
Right. So you're just going to get through this somehow, and then you can talk to your old friends again.
And I just feel like it's going to be hard to try and make new ones, because I've got old friends and they were basically everything, and I don't want to kind of abandon them in a way.
Yeah. You sort of feel like you'd be abandoning them if you were to make new friends.
Yeah. I just don't want to kind of make them feel bad that I've left them.
Yeah, you're worried that that's how they might see it. So instead of you having two groups of friends and more people to support you, it feels more like if I have new friends, I have to sort of get rid of the old ones, or they might feel abandoned.
Yeah, and I don't know how long I'm kind of going to be living with my nan and granddad for, so I don't know that if I make new friends, if I'm going to have to abandon them and go back to my old ones, or if I'm going to have to make new friends and just stay here.
Right. So you might kind of go through this process and then abandoning old friends and making new friends. And
Yeah, I just don't really feel like it's time yet.
Yeah. Kind of hear you saying, like, I really don't want to make any new friends just yet, because I might not have to anyway. I might have to move back, and I don't want to abandon my own ones.
I just kind of feel a bit alone, and that I have no one to talk to about what's going on, and I don't want to stress my parents out. I don't want to stress my friends out, and yeah.
Yeah. I really hear what you're saying. I'm feeling really alone, and I'm really worried about stressing other people out.
And above all, I'm just kind of stressing myself out by keep worrying, and I feel like my parents are just going to try and keep stuff from me, and I'm trying to keep stuff from them, and it's just not really working at all.
Right, so you're trying to protect them, and that's actually, it's not really working. You've got your stuff and they've got their stuff, actually.
And just by keeping it to myself, then they won't really feel sad about me, and yeah, I just don't want to stress them out any more than they already are.
It sounds like there's part of you that feels really sort of determined about that, really clear that if I tell them I'm going to stress them out. And then there's this other part that's saying, well, actually it's not really working what we're doing at the moment. I might need to do something a bit different.
Part of me thinks that I should tell them, and part of me thinks that I should just keep it a secret until everything's done.
Yeah.
I'm just a bit nervous about telling them, and I feel like I can't really keep anything else from them because they're dealing with a lot, and if they found out that I was keeping something from them, then they would kind of feel like I'm not kind of really wanting to tell them stuff, and they might feel like sad that I'm not ready to tell them anything.
Yeah. So part of you protecting them by not telling them how you're feeling, but that's also going to hurt them as well. It sounds like it's quite a confusing place to be at the moment, and you're kind of anxious about making the right decision.
Yeah, I'm just not really ready for it I'm just not ready to tell my parents, and I just don't even want to tell my grandparents either, because they've got enough to deal with themselves about, being ill, and I don't want them to stress out as well.
So they're people that you could potentially also tell, but they've got stuff to deal with as well.
I just don't want to kind of stop my parents from caring about them and start caring about me, because they're dealing with a lot more than I am potentially. I don't want to take it away from them.
So you think that they've got more than you have to deal with, and
yeah,
you need to kind of look after and protect them a bit. It sounds like you're really stuck in this problem at the moment.
I just feel like there's no way to kind of get out of it. It just feels like this has gone on for like ages, but I know it's only been a few weeks.
Right, it's been a couple of weeks, but it feels like much, much longer, huh?
Yeah.
Sounds like part of you is really kind of ready for something to be a bit different.
I just kind of want to change and just to get all the stress away, and I just want everyone just to be happy, but I know that it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, but that's what you'd really like, is for stress to be gone and everyone to be happy.
Yeah.
And then you could talk to people about how you're feeling again. You can't at the moment with all this pressure going on. And
yeah, and I just don't even want to tell, even of my old friends, I just don't want to tell them because I don't want to stress them out, and I don't want them to kind of worry about me. I just want them to carry on with themselves.
So it's kind of like this strong belief that you've got that if you were to share a bit about how you were feeling, that would really make them worry.
Yeah, and I just don't want to pile up any more stress on anyone else. And by keeping everything to myself and not telling them, I think that's just my best option at the moment.
Right. So as you're kind of weighing up the options, it's still feeling like, actually, I've just got to kind of carry on. But it's really hard to kind of carry on and not share.
I feel like I've just got to kind of push through it, but there's no way that I can.
That sounds like a really difficult place to be. I've got to push through, but I don't really see how. Because you don't sort of feel like you'd like to share a bit about how you're feeling, with your parents or your grandparents or your friends. Yeah, so it sounds like there's this real tension between, is it okay for me to talk to people, or is it going to be too much for them? It sounded like you're needing something to change.
I now feel like I should tell my parents, and maybe if I tell them, they'll kind of talk about it with my grandparents, and then they'll kind of feel how I'm feeling, and maybe they can try and sort something out about it, and we can all kind of sit down and just talk about what's going to happen later on.
It's kind of like there's another option there. You're saying if I do talk to my parents, and maybe they might understand me. I talk to my grandparents.
And also I feel maybe if I talk to some people in my new class, that you never know, there might be someone that kind of might have gone through the same thing that I have, and you know, they might be able to help me understand what's going to happen and what's going on.
You sound like there's a bit more hope there, that if you do talk to people, you might actually get some help, and actually maybe some people will understand.
Maybe if I just make some friends, that it might just take my mind off what's happening, and I might get more enjoyment out of kind of being here.
That sounds like that would be really nice, to get some more enjoyment. And by making friends.
And I could always just maybe talk to my teacher and kind of just say what's happening, and maybe she can sort something out and kind of help me make some friends or something. And yeah, I just kind of feel that maybe now by telling someone about how I feel, they might maybe understand what's going on, and they might kind of help me out a bit.
Right. Yeah. Sounds like you're thinking of like various people in your life, like friends, teachers, parents, grandparents, that you could tell. And actually that might give you some help.
And maybe if I talk to my grandparents, they might kind of, I can help them and they can kind of help me. And they can kind of give me more of an insight of what's going on, and then I might understand how they're feeling, and I might realise that I'm not actually the only one that's got stress at the moment.
Right, yeah, so it kind of might help you and it might help them. And you'd like to know a bit more about what's going on. That might.
Yeah, and if I told my parents, then, you know, they might be able to kind of tell me more as what they're feeling as well.
Yeah, so it sounds like you'd really like that, actually, to know a bit more about how they're feeling.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was that like for you, Sophia, talking to the counsellor?
Well, thinking about it, it makes me feel that there is hope of me maybe finding someone to talk about it, and now that I've talked to someone else that doesn't know what's going on about it, it now has kind of lift my problem off my chest, and I now know that I can just tell anyone how I feel.
Did it feel easy to talk or difficult to talk?
At first I didn't know what I should say and if I should kind of say it straight off, but now at the end of the session I kind of felt that now I've kind of told someone about it, that it was kind of easy to talk about it after a while and after I've got to know the counsellor a little bit more.
So talking to the counsellor maybe helped you feel that you could talk to someone else about some of those problems?
Yeah, and not kind of telling anyone else that's kind of already stressed about what's going on.
Did it help you feel maybe less alone with it?
Yeah, it kind of made me feel that now somebody else knows what's going on and how I feel, rather than me knowing how my parents feel or my grandparents, and somebody that's kind of an outsider doesn't know what's kind of going on in my family. It now makes me feel that, you know, I can kind of tell other people and I can maybe express how I feel.
So was it helpful that the counsellor was an outsider?
Yeah, it helped, because if it was a close family member, they might kind of, you know, they might also feel a bit pressured about talking about what's going on, and I don't want to put any more stress on anyone else than I have to.
So can you just say a bit about what you were trying to do there as a counsellor?
So in that piece of work as a counsellor, I was trying to really help the client engage with their feelings about this, and to try and help her identify the different sort of tension she had within her. So there was sort of part of edit that bit. Part of her feelings were trying to protect her parents, and she was really anxious, and then there was another part of her that actually really needed to speak to someone, and she was sort of trying to work out in her mind what was what her options were around that, what would be the benefits, what would be the problems if she did talk to people. Yeah.
You very much stayed with that tension rather than kind of making suggestions or kind of trying to move her forward. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I think one of the hardest parts of our job as person-centred counsellors is to sit with the tensions that clients have when they're in a stuck place. There's always a temptation to want to get into a problem-solving mode and give solutions to things, but I think it's really important to be able to stay with where the client's at and to actually feel some of the frustration and the tension that they might be feeling, and to help them kind of to acknowledge that.
Why do you think that's important?
When clients, I think it's important to do that because then clients can speak from that feeling, and they can gain a really solid understanding of what it is that they're going through, and if they recognise that we're understanding that as well, then they can accept that a bit more. It feels like a bit more lightness and a bit more freedom around that, and then things start to move.
So is it your experience that if people are in that stuck place and that they can stay with it, they will kind of naturally move forward in their own way?
I think overall my experience is that when people are in a stuck place, when they have to really recognise where they're at before things do start to move and before they can take action. If clients just trying to kind of bypass that, then I think maybe they just get stuck somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about your work in kind of in terms of the precepts and in terms of some of the competencies that we're looking at. How would you kind of assess it?
So if I assess work in terms of the precepts and the competencies, a big part of the role is to really track where clients are and to stay as close to them as we can, to offer a reflective voice so that they can hear their own problems and thoughts and feelings back, so that they've got they can go deeper into their feelings and have a deeper understanding of their emotions. So obviously to create a safe environment where they feel comfortable enough to explore that is a big part of our job.
You were saying about kind of emotional work, so was part of what you were doing trying to understand more about the feelings?
Yeah, part of the work is to help clients understand their own feelings. So the way I see it is we really have to be in it with them so that we're feeling what they're feeling. And encouraging the client as much as they can to talk from those feelings. So rather than those not being kind of acknowledged and us getting caught in kind of thought patterns or getting stuck, to really have a look at, so what is down there? How do I feel about this? What's that like?